The greatest story ever told. The greatest story ever told. You, the author, the main character. Being awakened is about recognizing who you are as source energy. Who you are as source energy. The source. That all starts with personal responsibility. As source energy, you recognize that you're responsible for your creations, your manifestations. They're all are but reflections within that which is unfolding within you. The configuration of one's own emotional body, your own harmonic essence, your own soul song, if you will. The orchestration of those who seem to be separate do exactly what you orchestrated them to do based on the decision of your present energetic state, your present frequency of being. It's all your creation. But of course, among such responsibility, such a high level of responsibility, this is a lifestyle choice. A true lifestyle that's multi-dimensional, multi-layered, an integrated aspect of our being. This is not to say that because we're aware of the emotional context of being awakened, we don't, or we aren't susceptible to the illusion, to what we consider to be real life. Not as if we're not going to get caught up in the daily dramas of separation and division and judgment and projection and comparison and feel all the things that come with the illusion. However, the ambition, the intent, the aspiration is reaching. We're always reaching. We're reaching for a deeper sense of balance, a deeper level of compassion and empathy. We're continuously reaching. That's the nature of healing. Healing is a verb. It's a continuous process. And never are you not healing. It's constantly taking place. Life is showing you. Life is providing the catalyst of more healing. Know that those around us are some of the greatest catalysts. Those close to us are associates, friends, neighbors, our own family. They're some of the greatest catalysts of such a lifestyle. The basis is unconditional love. The errors in consciousness, the ignorance of those around us, and our own ignorance. These are all catalysts of empathy, of compassion, of acceptance, of true forgiveness within. We work with all of these aspects of our experience. There's nothing out of place. And at the end of the day, being in this a lifestyle, we're constantly multitasking from a place of presence. So now, what's being displayed? Infinite intelligence is presenting everything that's absolutely necessary for your greatest benefit right now in front of you. Your excitement is your compass. This is you listening to the heart. It's expressed before. You listening to your heart is listening to God. There's no difference. It doesn't necessarily matter at all what another person thinks, how they feels, what side of the fence they're on, their thoughts about you, their thoughts about themselves. It's not your concern. Your work is internal. The work that you're doing internal is responsible for what's unfolding before you. This is where the work is. Inside. The most important thing is our ability to return home. To return home each and every time. Amongst the chaos, always being able to come home. The more you realize that everything happening external has its foundation is coming from what's taking place inside, and the more you give focus to this internal world, the more you evolve, the more you heal. I'll say it again, because somebody missed it. Somebody missed it. the more you recognize that this is the cause and all of this stuff out here is the effect, the more you invest energy in this space, the more you beautify this space, the more evolved you become, the more awakened you are. Everything. No matter how much you feel like you're justified, everything that's happening out here is but an effect. You as a source energy being, as God manifests in a human form. The more you looking outside of yourself, the more you assume the position of victimhood. The police, the military, the government, none of these factions, none of these people control what's going on in your reality. None of them. It's the greatest illusion ever created. You've created these things. And as grand, as large, and populated as you created them to be, you've done this only to establish the testimonial to your power. You're responsible for their assumption of being in charge. You're responsible for this. The being so powerful that they created endless armies and organizations of people, of populations that feel as if they are in control, as a hoax, as a catalyst, as a test. You created these grand organizations in order to test your own sense of courage. Your brilliance is unspeakable. As you release these programs, the more you take back your power. By no means is it easy. And with that, it's obvious that this path is definitely not popular. It's not popular because it's not easy at all. It wouldn't be there if you didn't have the capability. You would not be here if you were not overqualified. We incarnate into these dense environments and amongst all this darkness, smack dab in the middle of a bunch of darkness, to turn the light on. To turn it on. The renegades of light were system busters. To be the oddball. To be different and have the confidence to be different, unapologetically. This is how God do his work. In a creative, loving manner. In a beautiful way. Do you recognize how beautiful this is? I got a work colleague here today. When I was working in corporate sector, I came in that office with red, green, blue, my flower on my chest, bow tie glasses, laughing, giving fives to people, just breaking up all that banana. Everybody in blue and brown and black each and every day. I came through to break that mess up and show how beautiful life can be. Through being confident and loving myself. And doing what I wanted to do. Placed in submission by a bunch of eyes, by a bunch of judgment, by a bunch of self-hatred. To love that which seemed to be so unlovable, that dark energy, just to come through and break it up. Radiating that kind of joy, that kind of beauty, that kind of personal authority and permission to be yourself. You give other people the permission to embrace and accept what God is telling them to, what their heart is telling them to do too. You give them permission to be God. You give people around you permission to be themselves through you having the courage and the confidence to be yourself unapologetically. Shine, beloved. That's what you're here to do. The most important practice, the most potent practice in breaking up these programs, this programming, is to put down that phone, close that computer, and turn off that TV. You ain't got to do it the whole time. You ain't even close it forever. But every now and then, you got to close this stuff. Close this stuff and take yourself out into nature and be with the power of life. You're receiving dispensations of so much energy, so much of your own glory right now. It's all available to you. They're trying to give it to you. But you gotta be in that space of peace. You gotta go out there in that silence and be amongst that nature. Yeah, cut all this stuff off and be amongst that nature. Of course, you can come back, but you gotta invest that energy into being with yourself, in solitude, in nature, being able to hear yourself, being able to recognize your own energy. You gotta do this. You're developing access to a merit of memories. You've experienced a lot, beloved. You've done a lot. An amazing amount of work. Just the gifts and abilities that you have stored in this warehouse of yours. It's beyond explanation. It's just too much. It's too much to embody in one body. Of course, this is the amalgamation of all your lifetimes, but you have to understand that the laundry list of lifetimes and abilities that you have deep within your soul is inexplicable. What you're responsible for is selecting the gifts that you want access to. You have a responsibility of selecting the gifts that you desire access to. There's too many of them. But those that you feel excited about, that you feel will benefit you the most, that benefit your ability to serve through your greatest excitement within this lifetime, it is your conscious responsibility to call upon those lifetimes to integrate within your conscious awareness now. Not so fast, because this is a double-edged sword. But understand, you can handle it. You can deal with it. When you call upon these energies, when you call upon these past life experiences and the abilities and talents that came with these lifetimes, understand something. You also will gain access to the quote-unquote bad experiences within those lifetimes for processing, for review, for transmutation. When you call upon these lifetimes, they are going to integrate. However, the bad, not only the abilities and the good experiences and the awareness and talent from those lifetimes are going to integrate. Also, the bad experiences from those lifetimes will present themselves energetically. Now, of course, you can feed them, but in this state of awareness, within this space of spiritual maturity, you can choose to observe them. They don't necessarily have to manifest in your life, but you can choose to purely observe them and send them the compassion and empathy necessary to transmute them. However, in return, you also embody the gifts from those lifetimes as well. You have the strength to do so, beloved. Once again, this lifetime is the amalgamation of all the lifetimes you've experienced on this planet in a human body. All the time, attention, and focus and drive that you've had in all your previous lifetimes have come with abilities and experiences and talents and great gifts over the energy that you've invested in these practices. We all are here to get our hands dirty and do the work. We have the hands, we have the body. We're responsible for building the new earth. What do you want to do? What are you passionate about? What do you love to do? Internally, we have a governor as the creator. We would never desire to do anything that we didn't have the capability of doing naturally. Life is infinitely intelligent. This is infinite intelligence, beloved. We would not desire to do anything that we didn't have the capability of doing. It's just not possible. We wouldn't want to do it if we couldn't do it. And within these energies, we have the access to do so. But of course, we have work to do. Let's keep going. You're currently experiencing the evolutionary process through the ego. You're evolving through the ego. It's not about banishing the ego, but expanding its perspective. As it expands in consciousness, it includes more and more aspects of self. It's not a competition between the higher self and the ego. It's not. It's a process of integration. Your ego is working alongside your higher self to do very specific things that only you can do. Unique manifestation of the Creator is expressing itself through the filter of your harmonic essence. That ego, the way you think, how you talk, how you act, how you look, how you dress, how you move, all of that stuff is by divine design. In order for you to carry out a specific purpose, to express divine truth in a very specific way in which is the most beneficial to the manifestation of all that's taking place. These two entities, understand, the higher self that you have now and the ego that you have now, these two source energy expressions, right? They are working together to co-create a being much more potent, much more powerful, much more refined than both of them combined, in order to unfold the greatest level of light as a transformational process that's taking place and being orchestrated by the heavens through the higher and lower self. To have the courage, we had to be able to create these experiences in order to test ourselves. Do we have the courage to stand up in front of so much opposition and be ourselves? Are you going to trust yourself? Are you going to follow your heart? The people on TV say this, the doctors say this, the experts say this, the scientists say this. Do you trust yourself? Great confidence becomes great poise, great presence, beyond force, beyond trying, beyond arguing or debating or having to fight the masters of their reality. They know that everything is exactly as I decided to be because I'm the source of the experience. This is the cause, and all of this stuff is the effect. You can let go of the opposition. You have to know that you're responsible for the creation of everything that's happening around you. You have to know that you're the cause. We expressed this before. One of the greatest catalysts of vehicles of our evolution is the acceptance of those around us with different perspectives and understanding of our experience. Everybody is in their own bag trying to figure this thing out. They're doing the best that they can. And some are extremely passionate but truly misinformed about their experience. That's not our space to judge. We have to trust life. Trust the same intelligence that allowed us to awaken. We're not in the business of selling love. We're in the business of being loved. Being loved in the midst of those who project that which may be unloving. It's called unconditional love. That's our business. That's God's work. That's our work. Being the change that we intend to see. Being the leader, being confident enough, being courageous enough to do things differently, do things our way. This is our business. This is our work. Some that we know are shady, we know are deceptive, we know are misinformed or ignorant or whatever the case may be. We know this stuff. But our ability in knowing this, to be consciously aware of this stuff and have the ability to still communicate, coexist, and harmoniously create around these beings is some of the most potent energy we have access to. It's unconditional love in action. It's not just talk and saying you woke and wearing the clothes and all the stuff that. This is that in action. This is unconditional love in action. It's not just the talking part and looking the part. It's the stuff. It's the energy. It's the emotion. It's the attitude. To take the lead and be God. Inside, then outside. Everything that's happening outside is but a reflection of what's happening inside. Them government folks know their time is coming. Them financial folks know their time is coming. Them religious folks, they know their time is coming. They know it's happening. They see it happening and you see it happening. But understand something, it's because of you that it's happening. When you made the decision to change, all this stuff out here started to fall apart. It started to break up. Things started to become exposed. Because you decided to be truthful. Because you decided to be more honest with yourself. Because you looked in the mirror. Because you took responsibility, all this stuff started changing. Because you held yourself accountable, all this stuff started changing. And recognize your power as source energy. And let go of all that victimization, projection, and waiting on what's happening in each people and government, military, police, and CNN and all that. Like, when you let that go, that's why I said disarm yourself. The fearless, the courageous are defenseless. There's nothing to fight. God don't got no opponent. There's nothing to fight. You feed what you fight. That means you validate what you fight. You give it energy. You give illusions energy when you give it your power. When you give it your attention, what you pay attention to, you give power to. Because you are the creator. No matter how justified you feel, no matter how unfair the situation seems, these are all catalysts of your strength. You're being teased on purpose. The news ain't doing nothing but doing it. It's teasing you. It's attempting to get your attention so it can receive your power. The moment you stop solidifying and giving it attention, the moment you start ignoring that mess, it's going to go away. It's going to dissolve. The moment you start ignoring that stuff. Same thing with people who psychologically attack you, or they talking about astral projecting into your world, or I'm coming in your house, and they want your attention. They go away as soon as you start to ignore that energy. They have no power over you. There's nobody who can mess with you without your free will. The moment you decide to give it energy is the moment they can enter your reality. The moment you take away that energy and ignore that bullshit, it has no more power. Because you are too busy focusing on the things that you want to create, what you're here to do. You're too busy creating joy for yourself and your family and your loved ones. You're too busy creating heaven on earth to be given attention to no bullshit. You can't complain and be grateful at the same time. God ain't got no opponent. Take your power back, beloved. Don't allow these people to push you around. Unconditional love is accepting. That don't mean you're a punching bag. That don't mean you just allow people to emotionally manipulate you or control your attention. Focus on the things that you want. This is your precious time. This is your precious time. Your precious energy. Your precious manifestation energy. You didn't come this far to be paying attention to no BS. You're being granted the energy to create the life that you deserve. Be intelligent enough. Be sophisticated enough. Be mature enough to give it your energy. That's what being awake is about, being woke is about. It's about being intelligent enough to give your energy to the things that you desire. Giving your energy to the truth. And the truth is peace. The truth is peace. Never have you been a victim. This has all been a catalyst of self-realization. You needed all this stuff to recognize your power. You needed to get picked on to recognize your power. You needed to get teased to have the confidence to stand your ground, to do you, to be a leader. All that stuff was necessary for you to take control, to step out first, to put on the crown, to go first, to step out front with confidence. All that stuff was necessary for you to do that, to have the strength, the inner fortitude, to trust yourself. Don't turn off the live and go back to doing don't turn off the live and go back to doing no dumb shit. It's about embodying this energy. This is a lifestyle, beloved. This ain't Facebook and likes and all that. Bruh, look, nobody need that. That holds no value. Appreciation is beautiful. It's just that the implementation of what the heart is saying, what God is speaking on, is what's necessary. It's time to end all this suffering. And that don't happen unless you do it. It don't happen unless you do it. And we asking about when the ship's gonna land and when the mothership coming and all that other jazz. When you do it, take control, make the decision. Make the decision. You're not waiting on anybody, beloved. It's your choice. Love or fear. Let them people do what they're gonna do. It's okay. They're gonna do whatever they want to. That's their prerogative. That's what they're supposed to do. But you know better. You've been listening to your heart all this time. All this time. Why second guess yourself now? Do you feel like it's responsible? Do you feel like it's safe? Do you place your safety over your freedom? Are you listening to the TV or are you listening to God? That's a question to ask yourself. Who are you listening to? And ask yourself, is that responsible? It's intense. And those around you who are not taking personal responsibility for themselves, they're going to project. Why? Because it's easy. It's easy to blame and poke fun and pick on and do all that capping versus taking responsibility for your own pain. It's easy to project the pain. It's easy to project it and blame and point the finger. It's easy. And you have to understand, most souls here are going to take the easy route. They're going to point the finger. And you being the oddball, the black sheep that you are, the one that want to be or think they know it all and want to step up front and spiritual stuff and all that love you talking, that stuff don't work out. People dying and this. They're going to want to take their anger out on you. It's the nature of the ego. And we say this because it's important for you to take your healing seriously, your grounding work seriously. Because the more this energy ramp up and you're not doing the work, the more you're going to be inclined to participate. The more you're going to want to activate and get into some quarrel or to some debate. Before you know it, you're going to be throwing hands and it's going to be furniture moving and some blood somewhere. We ain't doing that. That's not what we're here to do. We're stronger than that. We know that's the weak position. It's easy to fight. You know that. It's why it's promoted so much. That's why it's so popular, because it's easy. It's hard to accept these people. It's hard to forgive folks, especially when they're being disrespectful. Especially when they're being disrespectful.